As you can tell, the CAS request toolkit has been produced in Microsoft Excel, but it is compatible with Google Docs, and for those of you that are applying from China, it's also compatible with QQ Docs as well. So there are plenty of free software providers out there that will allow you to open and edit this form. So when you open the toolkit, we have a welcome page that gives you some brief guidance about what we're expecting from you. There's a section on what you need to do, so please read this section very carefully. And there's also a section about who to contact should you have any issues. Now, the toolkit itself is broken down into various sections, as you can see, and they're all in the order that we probably want you to have a look at. First of all, we're going to have a look at the CAS request form. So, the CAS request form is required for all applicants. And what we want you to do with the CAS request form is fill in any of the relevant sections that are indicated in blue. Anything indicated in grey is for your information only or for our information only. And some of the values that are in the grey boxes will change depending on your answers in the blue boxes. So please read the information that appears in the grey boxes very carefully. So let's go with first name and your family name or your surname. Your MMUID number is a 8-digit number that appears on your offer letter. It probably begins with the number 19, so we'll use that as an example. If you enter anything above that, any more than 8 digits, you may not be able to carry on with the form. Your country of nationality, please select that from the drop down. So you can select the drop down by clicking on the arrow to the right hand side. And I'm just going to show you an example here. For applicants from Afghanistan, for example, UKVI unfortunately do not consider applicants from Afghanistan as a low risk national under Appendix H. So you can see that that's changed to no, and that we require a financial check. Now that financial check will vary dependent on when you make your CAS application. If, for example, you are from Australia, UKVI do consider you as a low-risk national, and a financial check will therefore not be required. But let's continue as if we're an applicant from Afghanistan. Under reason for your request, there are various different reasons. This CAS request form is for both applicants, exchange students, visiting research students, and students that need more time with us as well. So there are various different reasons. But if you're joining us for the first time at Manchester Met, you'll likely be selecting I am joining a new course at Manchester Met. Which country you'll be submitting your Tier 4 application in? Well, this will normally be the country that you are resident or have legal residency in. If you're on a visiting or a tourist visa for that country, you probably won't be able to apply from there. So just please make sure you're selecting the right choice and you're applying from the correct country. Level of study, this will vary depending on whether you're doing a pre-sessional program with us, that's pre-sessional English, an undergraduate, so a bachelor's or a bachelor's sciences or a bachelor's of engineering, a postgraduate taught course, so that could be a master's of arts, a master's of fine arts, a master's of science, a research program, or a professional course such as the ACCA accountancy qualifications or the legal practice or bar professional training courses. So please make sure you're selecting the correct program there and detail the course of study as detailed on your offer letter. As you can see, because we selected Afghanistan and this says no, the form is now asking us to proceed to section 3, your financial evidence. If we'd have selected Australia, it'll give you some further information that you don't need to submit any financial documents with this request. Again, that's because, unfortunately, UKVI do differentiate between certain nationalities. Financial evidence, this is really important. You'll need to select which of these is relevant to you. For most applicants, they'll be either using their own funds or their parents' or guardians' funds. So we'll select that for now, using your own funds. But if you do select other, please provide further information in the box below. Okay, so we're using our own funds. A quick section about financial sponsorship. Okay, so financial sponsorship is normally where you're sponsored by your government or employer. So please only fill this section out if you have financial sponsorship or you intend to seek financial sponsorship. We need this information so we can complete some of our reporting requirements with your financial sponsor. So as you can see from the drop down there are different sponsors. 4 that we normally deal with. Employers can vary from different employers, and then other if none of the above are relevant. For all applicants, if you're entitled to a scholarship or bursary, please select the relevant one. Again, we have a drop down with various different scholarships, but if you are entitled to more than one, then please select this. So for example, you could say Vice Chancellors, and then make sure you put the value. In that kind of format, that would be useful. And then finally, just make sure you put the total amount there for us as well. Okay, but I'm just going to leave that blank again for now because it's not really relevant to the rest of the form. Okay, so there are some additional requirements here. We assess your CAS based on other things, not just whether you have enough money, but if you click on the links that are provided there, it'll open up to some relevant information related to that question. So this question is about that you have enough time to complete the program, and this will open up a page detailing the time limits to study under Tier 4. This, for example, will open up information about visa refusals. Okay. If we select yes to any of these, please only select yes if it's relevant, by the way. But as you can see, it'll give you some further information about which documents you also need to provide in addition to any maintenance requirements. There's a quick section here, a bit of brief information about joining us from an educational advisor. Remember I said before, if your educational advisor has advised you that you don't need to proceed with submitting financial documents, then don't submit them if you request. So, because we have selected that we are self-funding our own studies, we have a handy little information box here, which says it is advisable to use the financial self-assessment tool before you send your CAS request in all instances. I think it would be good practice to check your bank statement against the financial self-assessment tool, even if you're going to send the bank statements to us. There'll be more about this later on in the webinar as well. And then some brief information about what you need to do if your CAS request is being sent 6 weeks or more before you start your course, and what to do if there's less than 6 weeks before your course. So please, again, read this very carefully. And then there is a handy link to CAS's website about evidence that you've met the maintenance requirements. Okay, so whatever you see here will vary depending on your answer to how you are funding your study. So this question here. And then finally, before submitting your CAS request, what we would expect you to do is select that you are intending to send us any of these documents with your request as well. So we'll need your passport identity page so we can include some immigration details on your CAS when we produce it. You'll need to produce your academic documents showing your highest qualification. That's so we can check that you meet UKVI's academic progression rules. Your English language qualification, that's so we can make sure you have the right level of English for a Tier 4 visa. There are strict requirements against English language. And then any documents detailed in section 5B and section 6 where they are applicable. And then evidence of payments that you've met to Manchester Met for tuition fees. So this will include things like your receipt for a study deposit, but any receipts for any additional payments made since your study deposit was made. Okay. We also want to make sure that you've read our CAS policy before you submit the form. There's very important information in our CAS policy. At the moment, this link here will take you to the Getting Your CAS page because we have two separate policies which are available, one for students joining a new course of study and one for enrolled students. But to give you an example, it's almost like Tier 4's UKVI's Tier 4 policy guidance, except it's catered towards our students. So again, please read this very carefully. Okay. So moving on to the self-assessment tool. Now, we advise all applicants to use the self-assessment tool, just so you can check that you have enough money in your account, particularly if you're submitting a bank statement with your CAS request. If you are starting the course less than 6 weeks away, you'll also be required to provide the bank statement or the financial evidence that you'll be submitting with the Tier 4 application as well. But you should always check the bank statement against this tool, because I think it's very handy just to give you an indication of how much money you're required to show. So, for example, let's say our course start date. Oh, sorry, let me just backtrack a moment. Again, fill out any of the boxes in blue, okay? So just make sure you're filling in the boxes in blue. So let's say our course start date is the 1st of September 2019. And our course end date is the 1st of September 2020. You can see here that the amount of money required to show for maintenance, that's living costs in the UK, is 9135. And that is the amount UKVI asks you to show, which is 1,015 per month, times 9 months. You'll only ever be expected to show 9 months worth of maintenance. If your course is less than 9 months, so let's say, for example, your course finishes on the 1st of January 2020, you will be asked to show 4 months worth, because there are 4 months between those dates. Just be wary that UKVI round up this figure. So if your course end date is part way through a month, they will round it up to the nearest month. Okay, as you can see, this is 3.5 months, and the financial self-assessment tool has rounded it up to 4 months. But let's continue as if we are doing a year-long course at Manchester Met. As you probably noticed as well going through the form, when you click on a cell, you'll get some important information that pops up on how to complete that cell as well. So just keep an eye out for that. So, say for example, your tuition fees are £14,500 and you have paid a £3,000 study deposit. The difference in tuition fees is £11,500 and the total maintenance you're required to show will be 9,135. When added together, this is 20,635. I'm going to show you on a calculator just so you can see that as well. Okay, so UKVI are expecting you to show that you have £20,635 in your bank account. You can also include money that you've paid to Manchester Met for accommodation, but that is up to a maximum of £1,265. When we add that into the equation, you'll be requested to show 19,370. You shouldn't be able to enter anything more than 1265 in this cell. So in any of the cells where you include information and you see a warning message like this, please read the warning message carefully. But let's continue and pretend we have paid we have a tuition fee charge of 14,500. You've paid £3,000 of tuition fees, and we've paid £1,265 to accommodation providers at Manchester Met. So the total amount that we are required to show on our bank statement is going to be £19,370. So the date of issue of your bank statement, this is really important because your bank statements need to have been issued within the last calendar month. So if we look at the 2nd of July, 2019, or today's date, let's try and put a date in earlier than or later than 1 month ago. That's still 31 days, so we're okay. But we can't put anything older than 31 days. So you can see from the warning message there that we can't go beyond 31 days. But let's continue. Let's pretend our bank statement was issued today. So counting 28 days back from the 2nd of July is the 4th of June 2019. So the earliest closing balance on your bank statement that you need to check the total amount required against will be the 4th of June 2019. What we want to know, and what UKVI will want to know, is what the lowest amount in your account was during the 28 days leading up to the issue of your bank statement. So what was the lowest amount in your account between the 4th of June 2019 and the 2nd of July 2019? Let's say we've got enough money. Okay, so you're in a position to request a CAS. Everything's fine. Let's pretend we don't have enough money. You're not in a position to request a CAS yet because you're not ready to make a Tier 4 application. What we suggest, though, in this instance, is still submit your CAS request to us, but send us a copy of the financial evidence you'll be submitting with your application. That way we can check and see what the actual issue may be and maybe provide you with some further information. So remember, this financial self-assessment tool I would recommend using in all instances, but if you are requesting your CAS more than 6 weeks before your course starts, you will only need to fill in this self-assessment tool and the CAS request form. If you are submitting your CAS request less than 6 weeks away, so that's less than 6 weeks away from your course start date, then you will also need to provide the financial evidence you intend to submit with your visa application. And this will be detailed in section 6 of the CAS request form. Finally, we're just going to have a look at some of the other areas of the CAS request toolkit. So we have a section about credibility, or the genuine student test that UKVI undertake for most applicants overseas. There is some information here about the types of questions that UKVI will ask you and the kind of things that you need to think about. Now, we can't tell you what those answers will be because the only person that knows the reasons why they're coming to study at Manchester Met, or why they've chosen the course that they intend to study, is going to be you. So you need to think about why you're coming to Manchester Met, why Manchester Met is a better choice for you above other universities, how the course you're studying is relevant to your overall career aspirations, and why the course you want to study at Manchester Met is better for you than a similar course at another university. So if you're asked to attend a credibility interview or a genuine student interview, please read this information carefully. Maybe practice with a member of your family or a friend in your home country. But if you do have any questions or you want to speak to us about the Genuine Student Test, you can email us at visacompliance@mmu.ac.uk. We've also included an example bank statement. So this is an example of what UKVI would accept in terms of an acceptable bank statement. So remember, the issue date must be no older than 1 month, and then you need to go back 28 days from this date and look at the closing balance on each day leading up to issue. So that's the closing balance, not every balance line, but the closing balance. So you can see how here on the 3rd of June, the balance changes throughout the day. But what UKVI are interested in is the closing balance on that day. Okay, here's an example of an unacceptable bank statement. So, for example, in this example, and in both examples, sorry, let's consider that you've paid all of your tuition fees and you're expected to show £9,135 in your bank account to show that you can pay for yourself whilst you are here. Now, in this example, the closing balance on the last day of the bank statement is above 9,135. We're good. That's fine on that day. However, if we go back 28 days, which is the 27th of May 2019, we can see during those 28 days, the closing balance drops below 9,135. Therefore, UKVI would not accept this bank statement as evidence that you have enough funds in your account. And if we are asking you to provide financial evidence with your CAS request, then we will also not accept this as acceptable financial evidence. Finally, we have a brief frequently asked questions section of the CAS request toolkit. This isn't intended to be exhaustive. There are a lot of questions that are probably not included here, but we feel that these are probably the most commonly asked questions. But please feel free to contact us at any of the email addresses that are indicated here. In addition, I'm going to show you now how to send the CAS request to us, or the CAS toolkit to us. So once you've filled out all of the relevant sections, there is a section of the CAS request form that will tell you where to send your CAS request to. Please look at this carefully. So what we want you to do is, once you've filled this out, save the document. You can save it on your desktop, or if you're using a smartphone or smart device, there'll be a folder where you can probably save documents. And we want you to put your MMU ID number, remember this is on your offer letter, and name it CAS request. Save it somewhere where you will be able to find it later. And then email this to us. Okay, so you can either email it via Google, any other free email provider, Yahoo, QQ, but please make sure you attach this file to your CAS request. Okay, so that's the end of our webinar. I hope you've found some useful information there. If you do have any questions, please email visacompliance@mmu.ac.uk. You can also visit our MMU international pages or find us on various social media platforms. My name's Scott, and if you have any questions, please feel free to direct them in my way, and I'll be sure to answer them as quickly as possible. Thank you for joining us, and hopefully see you in September.